When someone passes away, their bank account gets frozen, every single one. It doesn't matter if there's $10 in there or $10,000. The moment the bank finds out, they lock it. And if your family doesn't know what to do, that money can sit there for months, sometimes longer. But there is one free form that fixes this problem before it ever starts, and most people have never heard of it. Let me walk you through this slowly because it matters. Banks have always had rules about what happens to money when someone dies. That's not new. What changed over the last several years is how strictly those rules are being enforced, and how long families are being made to wait before they can access funds. There used to be a time when you could walk into a local bank, explain the situation, show some identification, and walk out with access to the account within a day or two. Branch managers had more flexibility. They knew their customers. They could make judgment calls. That era is mostly gone now. Banks today are much more cautious about liability. They have legal departments reviewing every case. And if someone accesses a deceased person's account without the proper legal documentation, the bank can actually be held responsible. So they wait. They freeze. They ask for court orders and probate documents and letters testamentary, which is a legal document that proves someone has the authority to handle a deceased person's estate. Getting that document takes time. It requires going through probate court. In many states, that process takes anywhere from 6 months to a year or more. Some families report waiting even longer. During that time, bills don't stop. A mortgage might be due, a car payment, utilities, insurance premiums. If the spouse who passed away was the one whose name was on the checking account, the surviving spouse can find themselves in a genuinely difficult situation, unable to pay basic expenses from money that is technically already theirs, or that was meant for them. This is the problem the form solves, and I want to be very clear about who this affects, because not everyone is in the same situation. If you are married and both names are on every account, you already have some protection. Joint accounts with right of survivorship typically pass directly to the surviving spouse without going through the freeze and probate process. That is a real safeguard, and if you are in that situation, it is worth confirming with your bank that your accounts are properly set up that way. But here is where it gets complicated. Many seniors, especially those who married later in life, or who kept some accounts separate, or who have individual accounts that were opened years ago and never updated, do not have joint ownership set up correctly. The account might say joint, but not have the survivorship language, or the account might be in only one person's name entirely. This also affects single seniors significantly. If you are widowed, divorced, or never married, and your accounts are in your name only, your family will almost certainly face this freeze. Your children, or whoever you have designated as your heir, cannot simply go to the bank and say, "He left everything to me." The bank needs legal proof, and this applies across all income levels. People sometimes assume this is only a problem for wealthy estates. It is not. An account with $2,000 in it gets frozen just the same as one with $200,000. The balance does not change the rule. The form that prevents this is called a payable on death designation. Some banks call it a transfer on death designation. The names are slightly different depending on the institution, but they work the same way. It is a beneficiary form that you attach to your bank account, and it tells the bank exactly who should receive the money in that account when you die, without going through probate, without a court order, and without a freeze. Here is how simple it actually is. Let's say you have a checking account with $4,000 in it. Right now, with no form on file, if you pass away, that account is locked. Your daughter, even if she is your only child, and you told everyone the money was hers, cannot touch it. She would need to go through probate court, hire a lawyer in many cases, wait months, and pay court fees, which in some states can run into several $100s or more. Now let's say you go to your bank this week and fill out the payable on death form. You write your daughter's name on it, her date of birth, her social security number, and you sign it. That piece of paper, which costs nothing, now sits in your file at the bank. When you pass away, your daughter goes to the bank, shows her identification and a copy of the death certificate, and the bank transfers those $4,000 directly to her. Same day in most cases. No court, no lawyer, no waiting. That is the entire thing. One page, free. Available at your bank or credit union right now. You can put one on every account you have. Checking, savings, money market, certificates of deposit. Each one gets its own form. You can name one beneficiary or several. If you name more than one, You can specify how you want the money divided, 50% to one person and 50% to another, for example. You can also name a backup beneficiary in case your first choice passes away before you do. Now, let me tell you the mistake most people make, because this is important. A lot of seniors assume that their will handles this. They worked with a lawyer, they have a will, they listed who gets what, and they feel like things are taken care of. The problem is that a payable on death designation on a bank account overrides what your will says. The bank does not look at your will. The bank looks at its own records. Whoever you listed on the payable on death form gets the money, regardless of what your will says. This can cause real problems if the form is outdated. Let's say you filled out a form 15 years ago and listed a spouse who has since passed away, or a sibling you are no longer close with, or you never filled one out at all because no one at the bank ever mentioned it. The account will either go to the wrong person or get frozen and go through probate. Neither outcome is what most people want. The other mistake people make is assuming their family will figure it out. And maybe they will eventually. But eventually could mean 6 months or a year of difficulty, stress, and expense during what is already an incredibly hard time. Filling out this form takes about 10 minutes. It eliminates the problem entirely. One more thing worth mentioning. If you have an IRA or a 401k or a life insurance policy, those already use beneficiary forms that work the same way. Retirement accounts and life insurance pass outside of probate, but regular bank accounts do not automatically do this. You have to ask for the form and fill it out separately. Here is what I want you to do. This week, just one thing. Call your bank or credit union. You do not even have to go in person if you do not want to. Call the main number and ask this question. Do I have a payable on death or transfer on death beneficiary listed on my accounts? They will look it up. If the answer is no, or if the form is outdated, ask them to mail you the form or ask when you can come in to complete it. Write that appointment on your calendar. If you have a spouse or adult child who manages some of your financial affairs, tell them about this today. This is not a complicated legal process. It is a 5-minute phone call and a single form, but it has to be done before anything happens. Once an account is frozen, this form can no longer help you. It only works while you are still here to fill it out. One more thing about timing. Banks process these forms during regular business hours, and they do take a few days to enter them into their system. So do not wait until you are dealing with a health scare. Do it now, when everything is calm and there is no urgency. That is exactly when it is easiest to handle. If you are not sure which bank holds all of your accounts, take a few minutes this week to write them down. List the bank name, the account type, and whether or not you have updated a beneficiary form on each one. Keep that list somewhere your family can find it. Not the passwords to the accounts, just the information that accounts exist. That simple list can save your family an enormous amount of confusion and stress. This kind of planning is not morbid. It is generous. It is one of the most practical things you can do for the people who love you. It says, I thought ahead. I made this easier for you. You will not have to fight a bank or wait for a court while you are grieving. Thank you for watching today. If this was helpful, please share it with someone you care about, because most people simply do not know this exists. A lot of families have gone through months of financial stress for the want of a single free form that no one told them about. Next week, we are going to talk about another rule that affects seniors and their money, one that has to do with Social Security and what happens if you are still working after you start collecting benefits. There is a specific threshold most people do not know about, and crossing it by accident can actually reduce your monthly check. We will walk through the exact numbers so you know exactly where you stand. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. We keep these videos straightforward and practical. No sales pitches, no complicated financial jargon, just plain information that you can actually use. We will see you next week.